So let's look at some of the other games that the deniers play to try to manipulate public opinion. One gimmick that they've reverted to is the observation that there's been no warming trend in the last 10 years. No warming trend, they say, in the last 10 years. In 2010, a Republican senator said, quote, "I don't think that anyone disagrees with the fact that we actually are in a cold period that started about 9 years ago." Well, let's look at the facts. Let's start with the green line on this graph. The green line is the global surface temperature data. It's not a projection, it's not a hypothesis, it's a measurement. This is global surface temperature data. And as you can see, it changes seasonally. Now, the red line that goes through it is the trend line that is mathematically developed from that data. That trend line is the product of basic and undeniable mathematics. And the trend is extremely clear. So, let's look at what the deniers do with the very same data. Leave that one up. Let's put this one right in front of it. Here they take the very same data. The green line is unchanged. It's exactly the same data. And this is how they get to saying that we've had a cooling period for the past 10 years. They pick a high point and they pick a low point out of this data, and they say that's their 10-year cooling period. The problem is, if you go back, here's another one, and here's another one, and here's another one, and here's another one. Interesting how all the cooling periods stack up to an increase. It's a little bit like, who was the guy on the radio, and he'd explain something to you and it didn't seem quite right, and then he'd say, "But Paul Harvey, what's the rest of the story?" So the rest of the story is that if you pick one piece of data out of a line that's going like this, and then you go forward and pick a lower one later, you can manufacture the hypothesis that there has been no warming trend in the last 10 years. But if you do it legitimately, if you run an actual trend line with mathematical precision through the data, it shows that this theory is nothing but misleading bunk. Misleading bunk, designed for the purpose of creating confusion.